All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video as we talk about the 10 players who have been most frequently mocked in mock drafts to the 49ers this 2025 draft season. We will hit that coming up next. But first, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, along the Monterey Peninsula. Call my friend Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264. And this video is sponsored by our friends at Aura, and we'll have more from Aura in a minute. All right, first, let's talk a little bit about the players, the top 10 players most frequently mocked to the 49ers. And it's an interesting list. I would have thought that Mason Graham would have been on the list because Mason Graham seems to be a no-brainer. Kenneth Grant thought he would be on the list. James Pierce, the defensive end from Tennessee. Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle from Ole Miss. Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State. I really thought maybe if Niners receiver, maybe Tedoroa McMillan, Luther Burden, Matthew Golden, maybe a free safety, Malachi Starks. No. How about Derek Harmon, defensive tackle from Oregon? No. None of those guys are in the top 10 of the most mocked players to the 49ers. So let's run it down for you. 10 through 1. All right, number 10 on the list is Jihaad Campbell. Jihaad Campbell of the Alabama Crimson Tide. And let's talk a little bit about Campbell. He's an incredible player. Inside linebacker. He produces on blitzes. If you like to bring extra pressure, you're going to like Jihaad Campbell. He loves to blitz the quarterback. He's got some experience lining up on the edge. A lot of people say the mental side of the game is still very much a work in progress for Jihaad Campbell. A lot of people feel like he's more of a reactor than an anticipator at this point in his career, and that he'll need to get better over time. But he was very productive for Alabama, and he worked out like a great player. So Jihaad Campbell, number 10 on the list is Jihaad Campbell of the Alabama Crimson Tide. At 3.3% of mocks have included Jihaad Campbell to the Niners. All right, next on the list, number 9 on the list is Mike Green. Mike Green from Marshall Thundering Herd. And, Mike Green is a good football player. There's no question about that. He's a really good football player. He's an edge rusher, and he's a talented edge rusher. He's got all kinds of moves, spin moves, and he's really fun to watch. He's a high-energy edge rusher who's a little bit undersized. He's got explosive traits, and he can create pressure off the edge. He's not for everybody. I don't know if he's going to fit in the wide 9. He's a little smaller. Niners usually like guys around 270 who can set the edge. But, he might be more of a situational pass rusher. He might be more of a third down guy only. He might be more of a 3-4 outside linebacker. The questions with Mike Green are just, what's his issues off the field? He's been accused of sexual assault. He got accused of that in high school, and then again during his freshman year at the University of Virginia. Neither led to an arrest, but, you definitely have to do your due diligence on what kind of character you're dealing with Mike Green, for sure. But there you go. I mean, he's number 9 on the list. Number 8 on the list is Mykel Williams. Mykel Williams of the Georgia Bulldogs. And, a lot of people think that Mykel Williams is a great, great player and who's going to be a terrific NFL player. I'm not as convinced. I guess he did come out to San Francisco to meet with the 49ers this week. Obviously, they're showing interest in him. He's got an impressive blend of traits, right? He's got great length. He's very strong. He's very athletic. He's just 21 years of age. He's built like a traditional 4-3 defensive end, 6'5", 265. He's good against the run. He should have an impact setting the edge against the run. I just don't see a lot of moves, and I don't see a lot of improvement from when I first saw him to where he is now. He did, partially due to injuries. He doesn't have a ton of experience. His pass rush technique, because of that lack of experience, remains kind of raw. He's 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 going to need to develop some pass rush moves to really come of age. I mean, for a guy who looks like body beautiful and he's the exact height, weight, speed that you'd like to see in that position, you'd like to see him be a little bit more successful in the games. And he doesn't always do it. I mean, sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. There were games where I didn't see him out there. So he's number 8 on the list, predicted to go to the Niners in 4.2% of the mocks. All right, so Campbell's number 10, Green's number 8, Mykel Williams is number 7. Number 6 on the list at 5.8% of the mocks is Jalon Walker, Mykel Williams' teammate at the University of Georgia. And Jalon Walker is a really interesting player. He is as athletic a player as you're going to see come off the edge. He doesn't have edge rusher size. He's got the size of a stack backer. He's 6'1", 250 in that range. But as a pass rusher, he's just so fast and so talented and so elite athletically that he has been a pass rusher coming off the edge. A lot of people like him more as a pass rusher than as a stacked linebacker. Now, his body type tells you he should be a stacked linebacker who plays on the inside in a 3-4 or a 4-3. So is he a stand-up edge rusher in a 34 front? Is he an outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense? Is he an inside linebacker? Is he a defensive end in a wide 9? Can he be? Can he line up as a traditional edge defender? Will he get swallowed up by bigger linemen? The Dogs used him in this kind of hybrid role last year where he played some off-ball linebacker and some on the edge, but he was always standing up. He never had his his hand in the dirt. However, 50% of his pass rush snaps came on non-blitzes. So despite lining up all over the place, he was still consistently used as a conventional edge rusher. So, this is a player who's, to me, his greatest trait is how he closes space. He's just electric, really, really explosive. And to me, this is one of the great players in the draft. So Campbell's 10, Green's 9, Mykel Williams is 8, Jalon Walker is the 7th player most likely or most mocked to the Niners at 5.8% of the mocks. All right, number 6 on the list is Will Johnson. Will Johnson, the cornerback from the University of Michigan. And, Will Johnson 2 years ago was the MVP of the national championship game. He's got really polished skills, very polished corner. He's an immediate starter as an outside corner. He's just very ready to go. He can play zone. He can play man. He breaks on the ball. His only downside is he's a little lean. He's a 6'2" corner, and he's been a little inconsistent at disrupting the catch point in pass coverage. His arms are measured at 30.1 inches, and that's a shorter arm corner. So he definitely has short arms by NFL standards. At 30.1 inches, but you're talking about a very polished player. There's some injury concerns because he missed a lot of the year this year, but you're talking about a guy who should be able to start and, really be a good player right out of the chute. I don't think there's any question about it. Will Johnson's going to be good. So he's number 6 on the list. He's mocked to the Niners in 7.5% of the mocks. Also mocked to the Niners in 7.5% of the mocks is Texas A&M edge rusher Shemar Stewart. Now, this is a player there's wild variety of opinions on Shemar Stewart. He's big, strong, fast. He's the biggest, strongest, fastest guy. He wins at the line of scrimmage because he's got an elite combination of size and athletic traits, and it just makes him a ridiculous assignment for any offensive lineman. He's best against the run because he has the great strength to set the edge, but he also has the closing burst to make plays in the backfield. Now, his weaknesses is that he really needs to improve his technique, his hand placement, his hand usage. He's just really raw and needs development. He needs time to develop his pass rush moves, learn he doesn't just, he just comes at you with lots of energy. He doesn't have a great rush plan. Only 4.5 career sacks. Now that's a red flag. But he also ranked 20th in FBS and pressure rate in 2023. So the lack of sacks doesn't tell the full story. I watch A&M football every week. This guy is really, really high motor and plays incredibly hard. I would say this guy plays as hard as anybody on the entire defense. He's just raw. And I think if you leave this up to Kasarik, if Kasarik likes him, take him because there's nobody more talented. I mean, he is just absolutely as talented as anybody. And he is the fifth most mock player to the 49ers. The fourth most mock player to the 49ers at 10% is University of Texas offensive tackle Kelvin Banks. Now, this is an interesting one. I'm not as big a fan of Kelvin Banks. Some people really like him. He played left tackle at Texas. He's got length. He's got athleticism. He's going to be a left tackle in the NFL, most likely. He wins with athleticism, and he's just got a patient, kind of controlled approach. Against Jalon Walker, Walker beat him like a drum to the tune of 3 sacks. And when I watch Banks, he's a huge man, but I don't see a lot of big-time power. He's not like big, powerful, kick people out of the club in the run game. I don't see that. I mean, I see it with Membu. I don't see it with Banks. If you put on more weight, I think he's going to become more stiff and lose athleticism. I don't think he has athleticism to lose. So he's also got some penalty issues. He had 13 penalties over the last 2 years. So I just see a big bodied guy who's getting by at the collegiate level on that big body. And I don't see special traits. So I'm not a big fan of Kelvin Banks, and that's not the guy that I would go with. But he is the guy who's mocked to the Niners the fourth most of anybody in this draft at 10%, tied with Armand Membu. Now, as much as I don't like Banks, I do like Membu. I think Membu's film is so impressive. The more I watched Membu, the more I loved Membu. I mean, I think he might be a right tackle. I think he could play guard and be a very good guard. But I think Membu is going to be a right tackle in the NFL. And he doesn't lunge. He's got long arms. He's really powerful. I like the way he moves. He never seems like he's off balance. He plays a very controlled style. Some people don't think he has the tools to stay at tackle. He's 6'4", 330. To me, he's big and powerful, and he's young. He just turned 21 in March. So I think you're going to see him just get better and better and better. I think Armand Membu is going to start in the NFL for the next 10, 12 years and be really, really good. So I'm a big Armand Membu fan, and he's mocked to the Niners the third most at 10%, or I should say tied with Banks for the third most at 10%. All right, so we're down to the final two. Who are the guys that are mocked to the 49ers the most? Well, checking in at number 2 on the list is Big Will Campbell of the LSU Tigers, the left tackle for LSU. He has been mocked to the Niners in 10.8% of the mocks. This is all between March 24th and April 7th. And Will Campbell's been mocked to the Niners in 10.8% of the mock drafts. And, Campbell was thought to be just, the blue chip of blue chippers who was going to go, top 3, top 4. And then he went to the combine and they measured him with a little bit shorter arms. And you would have thought that his arms were ripped from the sockets and he had no more use of his arms. I mean, to me, it's absolutely outrageous. The reaction that people had to him having 33-inch arms. Now, granted, at the combine, they said it was 32 and change. It's beneath. It means he's like in the 10th percentile as far as arm length for tackles in the NFL. But he was a 3-year starter at left tackle for LSU in the best conference in America, blocking every week the best edge rushers in America, and he dominated. He won with athleticism. He can mirror athletic pass rushers off the edge. He's big. He's tough. He's nasty. He's not the strongest guy ever. Some teams will say, hey, man, his arms are 33 inches. He's a guard. I don't think so, though. I think he's a tackle. There are guys who are exceptions to the rule. Joe Staley was an exception to the rule. And I think Will Campbell is going to have a 10-year career in the NFL as a really good left tackle. And I think the Patriots are going to take him 4th overall, and it's going to be much ado about nothing. But he is a guy that's mocked to the Niners at 11, the second most of anybody in this draft, Will Campbell. All right, so who is number 1? Which player in college football has been mocked to the 49ers more than any other player in this draft cycle? You would think, because the Niners have talked defensive line so aggressively and so often, that it would be a defensive lineman. But no, it's not a defensive lineman. Checking in and winning far and away. Like, he checks in. He's mocked to the Niners in 15% of the mocks. So he's 15%. Second place was Will Campbell at 10.8%. Third place was Membu and Banks tied at 10%. Fourth place was Shemar Stewart and Will Johnson tied at 7.5%. So overwhelmingly, 15% of the mocks, the far and away the player mocked most often to the 49ers in this draft cycle, Jihaad Campbell of the Texas Longhorns, the Thorpe Award winner. Now, this is interesting. I think this is one of the best players in the draft. Love this player. Thought he was the best player on the Texas Longhorns this year. He's got experience playing in the slot. He's got experience playing on the boundary. I think he could play either. He had a breakout year this year as an outside corner. And I think he's good enough to stay at the outside corner spot. He's a tremendous player. He's cocky. He's strong. He's physical. He's a really confident corner who has a lot of swagger. Now, he lacks, ideal measurements. He's not the ideal size. There are longer corners. He lacks some ideal length. He lacks some ideal size, especially to play on the outside. And some teams will view him as a nickel corner only. But that's like saying Brian Branch is a nickel corner only. To me, he reminds me a lot of Brian Branch. If you're one of these teams that plays all press coverage, maybe you'll be a little hesitant to invest in Jihaad Campbell because he doesn't have a lot of experience playing press coverage. He's more of a zone corner. But if you're a team like the Niners or the Dolphins or Green Bay, Baltimore, Washington, Pittsburgh, some of these teams I think would be great fits for Jihaad Campbell. So there you go. Some people think Barron is one of the safest players in the draft. Some people have compared him to Brian Branch, that he's a defensive back that can really play anywhere. He won the Thorpe Award because he's super aggressive, really good against the run, really good against the pass. One of my favorite players in the draft. He's a little small. Drafting him at 11 seems like it might be a little bit of a reach, but there you go. The number 1 player mocked to the 49ers in this draft cycle, Jihaad Campbell of the Texas Longhorns, the corner, and the Thorpe Award winner this year is the nation's best defensive back. All right, that does it for the video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for sponsoring this video. And now a word from our sponsor, Aura. Have you ever typed your name on the internet and seen all of your private information is online? Are you tired of receiving tons of spam calls from random numbers? Are you receiving more and more of these as time has gone on? Well, that's where Aura, the sponsor of today's show, can really help you out. Data brokers sell your information to scammers and spammers and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, your email, your home address, all your records, your health records, who your relatives are. It's all out there. That's why I've been using Aura. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it also protects me from hackers who could use the information to help them access my social media accounts, my bank accounts, or any other sensitive information. Aura also does so much more to protect me and my family from online threats I can't see. I get other features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. It's really easy to set up. And best of all, I get everything at one affordable price. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to the link in the description to start your 2-week free trial. And thanks to Aura for sponsoring this video. And thanks to all of you for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.